Thank you for tuning in with us every Thursday at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. About our host, Carlotta Taylor is not just a survivor of child abuse, but has grown into what we come to know as our personal thriver against all odds, who no longer flinches at adversity, but overcomes with authority. Carlotta decided to find the courage to say yes to herself. Miss Taylor has piece by piece faced her biggest adversary, the brokenness, and healed not only herself, but has also affected thousands through her outreach and influence. Carlotta Taylor is the author of the best-selling book, No More Flinching. Getting to the heart of the matter has always been what Carlotta is about. To keep in touch, text Carlotta to 888-111. It's time for the show to begin. It wouldn't be the same without you, because this is the place people bond worldwide, sharing powerful stories, prevailing over adversity. The heart of the matter is the people's joy. Now, turn your attention to our host, Carlotta Taylor, as the show begins.
Welcome to the heart of the matter, the place where your voice is heard. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but we're going to keep it right on moving. Thank you for tuning in. Please go ahead right now and share this with 5 lovely family and friends that you know, because we have a marvelous, wonderful guest today, and we have to get to her story because this is her day. We might as well call this Shay Day, okay? I'm so excited for our guests. So go ahead and share this live. We are streaming right now live through YouTube, Roku, Apple TV, just to name a few, okay? So we're going to go ahead and jump right in, and let's go ahead and bring up our lovely, amazing guest, Shay Greenwood. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. This is like so fancy.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad that you're here today with us, because you are definitely a powerful person. I've been watching you, and I'm just so amazed, not just by your beauty, because you got that going on, but you have a lot of things going on for yourself. And most importantly, right now, your story is just simply incredible. The first thing I want to ask you, Shay, is something I ask every single guest that comes here. What does getting to the heart of the matter mean to you?
That's a fully loaded question. And so thank you so much for inviting me. I feel so honored to be here. And you are absolutely beautiful. I love watching you. Your energy is off the charts. And I love hanging out with people who are like that, because that just helps me to do everything that I'm doing. I feel like that's probably a part of the heart of the matter, is getting to that place where we can be the best versions of ourselves. Oh, wow. And so that's really one aspect of it. But I think for me, what the heart of the matter would mean for me is my faith is a very, it's the most important thing to me. And so I feel like the only way that we can become the best versions of ourselves is if we know what God's word says about us. And then we are able to live that out in a powerful way. And so getting to the heart of the matter is, what does God say about me? And what does he say about my situation? So that's what getting to the heart of the matter means to me.
Wow. What a remarkable answer. Everyone always answers that question very differently, but I really thank you for your input. That was beautiful. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yes. Now let's just rewind the hands of time just a little bit, you know.
Okay.
All right. I know we're all about forward motion and forward progression. All right. But just for today, let's rewind the hands of time and take us back to the little Shay, you know, back in your childhood development days. You know, you get to pick a spot wherever you want to go, but just take us back there. How was growing up for you like?
I mean, we could be here all day, but I'm gonna just give you the short version, short answer. I grew up with a mom and a dad who got married, and they actually divorced when I was 10 years old. And so I went to probably, I've really lost track, almost 8 to 10 different elementary schools when my because of that volatile marriage and then divorce. I'm one of those kids who got to live with my grandparents, a couple of times during that time, got to live with a great grandmother. So things were just hard for my mom as a divorced woman who didn't have support from her husband. My dad has been in and out of jail since I was 10. And so I grew up in that. And then a shift happened for me when I was in the 9th grade. We moved from California to Nebraska, which is back to my mom's hometown. And that's where she got a lot of support. She was able to go back to school. We had family around. Things were easier because I had, a family structure, aunts, uncles, cousins. And so things really kind of shifted for me at that time. And then, I became a believer when I was 23. And that's when things really helped me to understand my life and put things into the right perspective. And so then, that was basically my childhood in a nutshell.
Wow. Well, that is so interesting. I would have never known that you went to so many different elementaries. And I think, with the divorce, so many people can relate to that, especially, the children and young adults of today. And that's encouraging in itself to know that you can turn out like a wonderful Shay Greenwood, even though you have experienced those different things in life.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's still a journey. I'm 51 years old, and there's something.
Where?
It's here, I promise. I'm feeling it today. But anyway, I'll just tell you that, I can say that story and it feels kind of, I can feel disconnected. And honestly, if I, sat and really told you the intimate details of that, what I'm learning as a 51-year-old is I'm learning to feel my feelings because of how I was raised and because what I went through. I stuffed those feelings. I didn't deal with them because in a lot of those instances, when your parents are doing all those things, you end up having to be an adult faster than what you need to be. You can't have a lot of emotions over those things. And so I'm on a journey in this next half of my life to feel those feelings in a deep way so I can go even further, right? We don't want to be the same way that we were this time last year. We want to be different. And so this season, I am identifying with those feelings. What did that little girl feel? What did that little Shay? How did she feel going through that, rather than just kind of pushing those feelings to the side and just moving forward anyway, Yes.
Oh, thank you for the breakdown, Shay. This is really, really good. Thank you for sharing and being so transparent. Now we're gonna, fast forward just a little bit, and we're gonna go into this show is all about overcoming adversity and sharing that how you went in it, the lowest lows, but how you came out of it. And I understand that you had something very pivotal in your life that happened, and it involved your husband. So
Yeah.
if you can just take us through that.
Sure. We have been married for it'll be 25 years in May. We have 5 kids, 25, 22, 24, 22, 20, 19, and a 9-year-old. And so September 2016, and I'll just kind of back up a month before that, about 6 weeks before that, we were working out. I think it's important to kind of start there because this may be somebody else's situation. And so we were working out. My husband's healthy. I'm healthy. God orchestrated for us to work out together. We didn't normally do that, which is very important. We were working out together, and I always say that he was showing off. We were doing legs, and he was doing some leg extensions. And unbeknownst to me, he felt like the weight was too much, and so he forced it up. And because he forced it up, he started having a pain down his leg. And we seriously thought that the pain went on and on for about 5 weeks. He went to the chiropractor. We thought that he had sciatic nerve pain. The pain wouldn't go away. He was sleeping on the floor. No pain meds were working. We finally decided that based upon the chiropractor and, him not seeming like he should be getting better, to get an MRI done. We got the MRI done in the hospital because it was going to be another 4 weeks before we would be able to have an MRI done. And there was no way that we could wait that long because the pain was that tremendous. He could barely walk without, having to sit down. And so he was admitted into the hospital, and a friend of ours was the hospitalist at this hospital. And I showed up, I'm there with him. He's asleep. I had to go do something. I came back, but had the MRI done. I'm sitting on the couch, and she walks over to me. She sits down on his bed, and she says, "Shay, Roosevelt has cancer." And, immediately I was overwhelmed just hearing those words. I couldn't process it because up to that point, first of all, I thought, I'm just going to keep it real with you guys. I thought, are you serious? I mean, this man has been in pain for 5 weeks. And this is before she tells me he has cancer. And you know how men have colds? Mm-hmm. And it's like, can you man up? I mean, like, really? Like, is
all right?
Really that bad? Like that's how I felt for those 5 weeks that he was in pain. I'm like, I don't have time for this. I'm busy. I got things to do. I don't have time to take you to the chiropractor. We don't have time for this. All of our kids are at home. They're running back and forth. I don't have time. That was basically my attitude. When she came over and said that your husband has cancer, that chip that I had on my shoulder was just broken. And I started crying, and I immediately started praying. I mean, like, who does that? Who gets news like that and just starts praying? But God had already prepared me ahead of time because I had been listening to the book on tape called The Fervent by Priscilla Shirer. If you haven't ever heard of that book, you need to go run and get it. It is about a woman's battle strategy for prayer, like how to pray about certain things in your life. And so I had been listening to that on tape constantly. And so immediately I was primed to pray. And I started praying and saying, Lord, thank you. Like, I was thanking God, just thinking through how we even got to this place where we know that he has it. And so, long story short, we found out over the next few days, and thank God he was in the hospital. What I know now is that it takes weeks and weeks and weeks to get treated. but we were right there in the hospital where our friend, who was that hospitalist, could start that movement fast. And so we ended up finding out that he had metastatic prostate cancer, which is stage 4 diagnosis. Your PSA, every man needs to know what his PSA is, period. It used to be an evasive test, you know, where men did not want to be tested for it because of how they would take the test. But now it's just a blood test. All you need is a blood test. Ask your doctor for it, and they will let you know what your PSA is. My husband's PSA, the normal range is 0 to 4, and his was 1,490.
Whoa.
Yes, 1,490. So that's what started this whole process in us going through a cancer battle. And he was given 18 to 24 months to live. Now, we did not hear about the 18 to 24 months until he was in remission. Like the doctor wouldn't, I asked and the doctor would never tell us. So we didn't find that out until way later. But that's how horrible it was at the diagnosis time. So that's our
wow. My heart really goes out to you. How long ago was this diagnosis?
I'm glad you asked me that question. It was September 2016. So
whoa,
18 to 24 months to live. And it has now been like 52, 53 months. And we are so grateful. He feels great. He's doing great. We live a new normal life. You know, cancer ends marriages. You know, cancer brings anxiety and depression and, you know, just having to live a life that's totally different than what you lived before. But God has brought us through, and we relied upon our faith. We also were very open and honest and transparent. So when he was diagnosed, that morning, the morning after he was diagnosed, I posted it on Facebook, and our kids posted it, and we lived it out loud with our community. And if you've never experienced the love of God, you know, just going through something like this and being open about it, you will experience an overwhelming sense of peace and experience the love of God like never before, because people are all hurt. We're all hurting. And when we reveal that to each other and express the realness of that, people want to be a part because they are feeling that in their lives some kind of way also, right?
Right.
And then it's important for us to point to Jesus because he's our hope in everything that we do, the chaos that's going on in the world right now. Jesus is our hope. And so we knew that we had to use this to bring him glory. And Roosevelt would always say that no matter what, I win.
And so Roosevelt, that's your husband, right?
My husband. Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for your transparency. And anyone out there who may have experienced something similar or could be going through this right now,
that's right.
This is a really great story of hope and what is possible. Shay, you did something that I could have, my mouth could have hit the floor, because most people, when they experience some type of diagnosis like that, that's one of the last things they'll do is go public with it. But you, bearing your faith in all, you put it out there. You said the next day you put it on Facebook.
And our children really were the reason, because they wanted to tell their friends. I mean, that's how kids communicate, right? They have Snapchat and Instagram, and can we tell our friends? And, you know, we asked Dad, you know, he's in the hospital bed, and we asked him, what did he think? Was it okay? And we ended up taking a selfie that day, and we came up with a hashtag. And that hashtag was Greenwood Strong.
Oh.
And, we just didn't know, what we were doing. It's not like we had a strategy or a plan, or, we're just being led by God. And a friend of ours actually gave us a book. The title of it's not going to come to me right now, but it's by John Piper. And the book was about, don't waste cancer. You can Google that. It's just a little pamphlet. It's not very many pages at all, but we read it, I think, that week. And John Piper basically just said, don't waste this opportunity. If you have a message to share with the world, don't waste this opportunity to be able to shed light on who the Lord is. And so we used it.
What a twist. Wow. This is a real champion story right here. I'm so glad you're sharing this and all of your transparency. Amazing.
Thank you.
How long was the fight?
The fight continues to me, but again, we live a new normal life. Okay. So, the fight for us continues. It's not like it was, because we're over the hump. He's what you call in remission. But let me explain. When you have stage 4 metastatic prostate cancer, that means that it has spread. The first thing that he took was a pill called Casodex that helped to lower that PSA. It went from 1,490 to 9 within a couple months. And then he had radiation on his spine, because with prostate cancer, you can become paralyzed. There are men who have prostate cancer that become paralyzed, and their families have to literally take care of them because they're bedridden or they're in a wheelchair. Okay, so that's how bad this disease, what it does to your body. And so the radiation that he had to the lesions in his spine, we're going to take away the cancer lesions that are there, create holes in your spine. So if you imagine it's hitting the bones in his spine, but it's to get rid of the pain. You leave holes. You don't know what could happen. He could, his back can break because the bones are brittle, and on and on. But once he had the radiation, that pain went away. He went from taking 2 morphine pills a day, Percocet for breakthrough pain, and a Valium at night. That's how much he was taking in order to get rid of the pain. And as he had those radiation treatments, he is now on no pain meds at all.
Wow.
Which is incredible. It's absolutely amazing. And so that left. Then he had chemo treatments. He had 5 chemo treatments. He was supposed to have 6, but he got sick, like with a virus or something. And so they only did 6 treatments. So by that time, his PSA went from 9 to undetectable. And so he has been below 1 since March of 2017.
That is simply amazing, Shay.
It is amazing.
Wow.
It is amazing. And he's had other things that have happened. So when you're on treatments like that for a long period of time, he was on steroids. Steroids wrecks your body. And he was on that for a year and was diagnosed with diabetes, type 2 diabetes. And so not only do we have this cancer diagnosis where we're already, changing the way that he eats, but the diabetes, that causes you now to have another illness on top of an illness. And so that caused a new normal for us. Also, when you're on this medication, your blood pressure can raise. He had high blood pressure before, but because of the meds that you're on, your body is just not just fighting this disease because it's already fought it with the other medication, but now it's the medication that you have to deal with the side effects of. And so anyway, he goes to the doctor every month to get his blood work done. Again, his PSA is undetectable. His blood pressure, we're trying to get that under control. He just started having a CPAP machine. And, I'm talking about him as if he's like this man who's not capable of doing anything. He's rolling around in a wheelchair with a blanket on him. If you saw him, he's not like that at all. Like if you saw him, you wouldn't even know that any of this is going on. He looks so healthy. He looks great. We just live a new normal life. Our conversation is about his health. And protecting him now from COVID. I mean, we don't go anywhere. When the numbers started rising again, I was on lockdown, not going anywhere, and so that's our life, is just to, we kicked cancer out. We don't want anything else to, really, I mean, we need to make sure he keeps healthy. So.
Wow. Well, it's so much right here. I just know, like, when he was in a lot of pain, taking all of those pain medications, I know you had to feel some kind of way, like as his wife, and just to see him in so much pain. How were you able to deal with that? I know the family came together, and it's so good to see that you all came together as a family. I think that's a good takeaway right there.
Yeah.
But how were you able to push through day after day after day when it was really tough?
This is where I'm supposed to tell you about my feelings, right? Remember I told you I'm trying to work through feeling my feelings. I would cry in my bathroom so my husband wouldn't see me cry. When you have prostate cancer, you take a hormone shot every 3 months. And so my husband did a lot of crying because he had that hormone shot. And so I didn't want to be the one to cry. And so I would go and cry in my bathroom. I would text my friends and tell them, this is what's going on. I had prayer support, from family and friends. And so, I knew I could tell people what was going on. People would reach out, you have to tell somebody. You can't keep isolated. The enemy wants you to be alone and wants you to feel isolated, wants you to feel like nobody else knows what I'm going through. But there are people that you can talk to. There are Facebook groups. There was a couple Facebook groups specifically for wives whose men have prostate cancer, because it really is a disease that it's a horrible disease on marriages. Absolutely horrible. People are leaving people every single day. I'm watching women on these support groups say, my husband's leaving me, or I can't take it anymore, I'm leaving. And that didn't happen for us. My husband is here watching. He said, I'm crying now. Because it's hard. It is difficult. It is hard. And then what happens, if there are people that aren't going to check on you, who are close to you. And let me just say right now that they can't help it. They're dealing with their own stuff and they can't handle your stuff. They don't know what to do with it. And so you have to forgive people. So how did I feel? I felt at times depressed. I felt at times that, and Roosevelt would say this, I felt at times that, Lord, if he has to live like this, take him. If he has to be like this, we don't want him to be here like this, because we know with you is so much better, right? And so you don't want that for your family members. You want them to live a quality life. He would tell you the same exact thing, that there were thoughts about that, Lord, take me. If I have to live like this, then take me. And so, that's what's real. And so, how do you fight, those feelings? I think it's important to feel the feelings, don't stuff them. I think you have to feel them.
Shay, I'm literally tearing up myself right now. And I worked in a profession where I was not allowed to show my feelings.
Yes, okay? That's right. We grew up the same way.
Exactly.
You're not allowed.
And you are so strong, and I commend you for your strength. I had to start taking notes, because that's just how good this is. Mm-hmm. A takeaway from your story right now is it's okay to cry. Mm-hmm. It's okay to get it out. And it's okay to show strength. You knew, as Mr. Roosevelt's wife, right? Mm-hmm. You didn't want to show that weakness in front of him. So you were strong for him, and you cried in the bathroom. Mm-hmm. That is strength right there. And you said something that I had to repeat. You said close friends and family. They know you. They're close to you. And they might not ever check on you. And I love the way you put it out there. They don't know any better. It's not their fault. They can't help it, is what you said. And sometimes that can be a wedge between friends and family, because you're looking like, listen, I'm going through X, Y, Z. Mm-hmm. And you're not even taking the time to say, are you okay? Is there anything I can do? But you are showing impeccable strength, impeccable example by leading the way you led throughout this situation. So thank you for sharing that. I am encouraged by your story so far. Right now, let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we will be right back.
Commercial.
McKinley Wilson is the third grader who lives up north in Harlem, New York. This is a story about a brother and a sister who are about to go on an amazing adventure to a place that is most of the time misunderstood.
Most people think Mississippi is just back roads and farms.
Pigs and donkeys.
Cows. Some people really don't see that none of us are really that different. Now their story is traveling, not only throughout the country, but around the world.
From Paris to Switzerland.
From Barnes & Noble to Amazon. Up north, down south should be a book in everyone's home, no matter where you live. Come help us celebrate a new generation of stories. A generation of kindness.
A generation of love for one another.
A generation of change.
All right.
I love it.
Well, thank you so much. I'm just so amazed by you, Shay. I've had the opportunity to sit down with you and, have lunch and eat, and just to know a little bit about how you lead as a leader in the community. And you have a lot of things going on. So, wow, I'm just like in awe. Okay. Let's kind of ease into, so now your husband, he's in remission. Mm-hmm. God bless it. Doing much better, and it's still a fight. I hear a lot of people saying it. I've seen some comments that says, the fight never stops, right? So now, what does life look like today?
Life is quarantining. This is what we do. This is our life right here. Life is I am homeschooling a 9-year-old. We have 4 adult children that are all over the United States. We have a daughter in Dallas, a daughter in Houston, a son in Atlanta, another son at the Naval Academy in Maryland. So we have 4 kids that are off doing what God has called them to do. And then we have a 9-year-old here. So we are homeschooling him, and he's at home with us every single day. And we are just doing what we do. We, on Wednesdays, my husband is in charge of making sure the schedule at church for the homeless. We pack sandwiches for a homeless ministry at our church. My husband's in charge of making sure that people are doing that each week. And so a lot of the Sundays we're there making sandwiches for the homeless. And I teach a Bible study on Thursdays, facilitate that with my church. It's a small group of women that I absolutely love studying God's word with. And I started, I've been in direct sales for 20 years. The company that I was with, Premier Designs, actually closed their doors December the 31st. And kind of knew that was turning and being different about 3 or 4 years ago. So I started branding myself as a style coach and did some life coaching, just to supplement my income. And then I found out about a clothing brand that is launching this summer. And so I've been doing that since May. And I'm not doing my other businesses at all. I used to help women in their closets and life coaching. And I just decided that this half of my life is all about simple and fun, doing less, making more money by leveraging these incredible network marketing companies that you don't have to do all the stuff, but you can just build relationships and share people the amazing products that you have. So I have a clothing line that I get to help launch, and it's been awesome, and it's growing fast. And Roosevelt is doing, he's a musician, a church musician. And so right now the 2 churches that he plays for are not holding service right now. And so he practices, on the organ. We homeschool Adam. We do the homeless ministry. And so that's what we do.
Wow. Shout out to Joanne Bell, because it's because of Joanne that I even know you, Shay. So I had to give her a shout out. Yes. And wow. So you are an entrepreneur. I have a question for you, because you do what you do so well. What makes a person like you have an open mind when it comes to network marketing and being an entrepreneur?
What created for me to have an open mind is I, first of all, did not have an open mind. That's a part of my story. My dad was a salesperson. He actually was in network marketing with, I think he was with Amway. I'm not for sure about that. So however, like 40 years ago. And because my dad was a white collar criminal, he would steal people's money, but he's very gifted, very charismatic, very personable, very friendly. And he just made wrong choices. God gifted him with incredible gifts, and he made wrong choices. And God gifted me with those same gifts to be able to love people and be friendly and charismatic. And I was just like him. And I said I would never have my own business because I thought that I was just like him, right? Because that's what your brain tells you. So long story short, got married, started having children, and I'm like, I'm killing myself. And my kids are going to daycare, calling the daycare workers mama. We can't do this. I can't do this anymore. God, what are you doing? And so I started studying God's word. And in Titus, it says women are to be keepers of their home. Y'all stay with me for just a minute, okay? I'm not saying that every woman needs to come home. But when I found that out, that women are to be keepers of their home, my heart was not for my home. My heart was for my career. Okay. And so I told my husband, did you know that women are to be keepers of their home? And he's a preacher's kid. I didn't grow up knowing God's word. He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, when were you going to tell me? I didn't know that. And so, so my heart started being towards my home, pointed towards my husband, pointed towards my kids. And I wanted to spend more time with my children. And so that's what changed my mind. And a friend invited me to a jewelry show. And I got there, and look, you guys, I could care less about jewelry. I wanted to fulfill my dream, which is to be a stay-at-home mom. And so it's really not about, people can get caught up sometimes about the products. You know, you'll learn about the products. The products will take care of themselves. It's the vision. It's the dream. That's what you hold on to. And so for 20 years, I was able to very quickly, within that first year, I quit my corporate job where I was working 50, 60 hours a week, traveling all over the place with 2 little babies. And God just opened up doors where that first month I made my take-home pay. And I was able to say, well, if I'm only going to work 6 days in the month and make my take-home pay, certainly if I put more hours in, I can do it. And so we really need to think through that. You know, we don't have to do what everybody else is doing and what we were raised to have a job forever and ever and ever and retire from it. There really is opportunities for us to use the gifts that God has given to us and do that for our families and leverage our time in a smarter way. There is a better way. So.
Wow. Impeccable. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for breaking that down. I hope someone heard that you did not have an open mind.
No, I did not.
Starting out.
No, I didn't. I thought it was, you know, that's not for me. Oh, I'm not a salesperson. I can't stand salespeople. You're just sharing. You share, just like I go to the movies. I like the movie. What do? I come back and tell all my friends.
Tell all your friends.
Love this movie. You guys need to go see it. We all do that every single day of our lives. And so you have to think about, you know, what is your dream? What do you want to do that you're not capable of doing now? And network marketing is a beautiful industry. I have amazing kids, and I'm not saying that they wouldn't be amazing without, you know, with me working. I'm not saying that at all, but I got to be with them the majority of our lives and to watch them excel and do the things that God has for them to do. It's a beautiful thing. And the industry allowed me to do that.
Wow. Shay, we're going to just take a quick left turn real quick back to your story just for a moment, okay? I want you to think about this. If there is someone right now that's going through the cancer stages or being diagnosed, or, you know, maybe because I know people right now that are in that phase and going back in it, you know, they're out of whatever, I'm not sure about the term, but they're not in remission anymore. They're like going back into it. What would you say to that person who may be afraid and they don't know what to do? What would you say to that person right now?
There's a lot of things that I would say. I think that, you know, I don't know where their faith is. But that's what got us through. we live in a world that has convinced us of a lie, that we're going to be here forever. And it's a beautiful place and we just want to stay here, right? That, I have rights that I need to protect. I have a home I need to protect. I have money I need to protect. I need to protect my peace. And, if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, your life has been bought with a price, and that's Jesus's life. And we think that this life is about us, and it's not. Now, I don't know if I would tell that person that, but that's the perspective that helped us, is that God can change this in an instant. Any of our situations, he can change in an instant. But what does he want me to know about me? What does he want me to know about him? And how does he want us to use this for his glory? All things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. And so, I probably wouldn't say all that to a person, the first time I'm meeting them. What I would say to them is you have to surround yourself with people who can help support you. Do not be alone. Don't do this by yourself. Because again, the enemy will make you think that you don't need to tell anybody or nobody's going to care. And even if it's not friends and family, like I'll tell you right now, if you're not going through anything right now, you need to find a life group or a Sunday school or a church, because something is going to happen. James 1 says, count it all joy when, not if, when you encounter various trials. So we're not promised that we're going to have this cush life. It's when it's going to happen. Are you alone right now? Do you have a community of people that immediately would surround you if something happened? We have to be intentional with our relationships, and it needs to be before something happens. But if you're in it right now, I would reach out to Carlotta, reach out to me. There are people that care and that love you unconditionally. You are not alone. You're not by yourself.
Wow. I think that is just simply amazing. Going back to a certain part of your story where you said when you first got the information, and it just kind of made you just drop the weight of how you felt before. And then you started thanking God. That attitude, the attitude of gratitude.
That was, and remember I said about, finding community ahead of time. It's also making sure that we're intentional about what we're feeding our mind, our mind and our spiritual body, what we are feeding ourselves spiritually, because again, it's when those trials come.
Yes.
And so they're coming. I mean, there's a preacher that says you're either in the trouble, you're coming out of the trouble, or you're going into the trouble.
Absolutely. And
so what perspective we have, your show is called The Heart of the Matter, and the heart of the matter is, your faith. What's your perspective, and how are you going to have the right perspective if we're not studying God's word ahead of time? And so literally I was listening to that book, Priscilla Shirer, reading it on Audible. I would read it while I was putting my makeup on, reading it while I was doing my hair, not read it, but listening to it. And it was constantly on my mind about a woman's strategy for prayer, battle strategy. We need to be thinking ahead of time for the things that are coming. We don't know, we can't control that, but we can control how we react to it. And that's the power of the Holy Spirit working in our lives. But how do we know if we're not studying it ahead of time? Right.
Right.
The best example for me is my sons played football in high school, and my 20-year-old is at the Naval Academy. He plays for the Navy, the 19-year-old. And he used to come home with this packet from his coach. And in that packet, I probably shouldn't have been reading it, but I did. But in that packet was the coach had outlined the opponent and all the details about the opponent. This is what they're best at. This is what they're weakest at. I mean, just outlined the whole entire, what that team looked like. And it was amazing to me because that's what we should be doing with our lives, right? Like preparing ahead of time for that game that the enemy's going to place us in, because it's not if, it's when. And so we need to have a battle plan, a strategy for how are we going to attack these issues when they come. And so again, my mind was already prepared. It was already primed. And so the Holy Spirit just had me praying. I can't take credit for it. It was God that took me to that place where I was already prepared for battle. And it was a battle. It was a battle that was difficult and hard. We had kids at home that had to deal with this. And they're making decisions about their future through this. And so having to watch their dad go through this, and they're watching us go through this together. You know, we have to know what we need to do so our kids then can have a plan too. Right? Because if we don't know, then they end up having to be adults before their time, right? Mm-hmm. If they don't have, powerful role models to help them walk through, this is how you walk through a hard time. And we can't wait until that time comes. We have to prepare for that battle ahead of time. Yes. And the name of the book is called Fervent by Priscilla Shirer. It's actually the book that inspired War Room.
Wow. I just want to say shout out to the entire Greenwood family, because, shout out to the kids, the husband that was going through, and shout out to you, Shay, for being the anchor, just distributing like so much strength and showing that and allowing God to do his thing and work through you, and you sharing your story to everyone right now is so inspiring. And I'm sure somebody is getting stronger. It's going to get stronger every time they hear this episode right here. And I'm so excited to have you as a guest on the Heart of the Matter today. Before I ask you about how people can get in contact with you, I just want to say, just let me have your hair, girl. Your hair is everything. I don't never see you with a bad hair day. Well, your hair is off the chain.
I knew I was going to be on a live, so I got dressed at 6.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I love that. It's so pretty on you.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead and let the people know, because now we have like 2 minutes, right? Okay. We have to end. How can they get in touch with you, Shay? And if they want to move forward with their, their styling clothes or all of that, how can they get in touch with you?
So you can follow me. I don't have any more friend room on Facebook, so you have to press the follow button. That's the best way to follow me on Facebook. If you are on Instagram, go to Shay Greenwood. I'm there on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. So I'm on Shay Greenwood 05 on TikTok. I do have a private style group on Facebook. It's called Shay Greenwood, The Styled Life. And so if you go and join that group, I can approve you. We also wrote a book about our journey called If Love Could Heal. That's my honey. Those are our kids in the back of the book. But we actually use that hashtag on Facebook. And you guys, we were able to look up our post because of that. So this book just chronicles our time living out loud on Facebook. It was very difficult. I cried and sobbed basically every time we sat down to read. And I actually never read it all the way through. Like when I got it, I actually didn't open the book. I have not opened the book to read it because it's still what we live every day. And so you can find it on Amazon. Yeah, those are all the places.
Wow. So thank you so much, Shay, for coming on and being a guest today on the Heart of the Matter. Wow, incredible story. We're gonna have to have you come back on another time later on. Okay. So thank you. We really appreciate you today. Very powerful story.
Thank
Well, all right. I want to say thank you for tuning in. Be sure to get Shay's book. And if you did not share this episode at least 5 times with at least 5 friends, do so now. And if you're just tuning in, be sure to catch the replay. And we're going to be looking forward to seeing you back here next Thursday at 8. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in to the Heart of the Matter. If you would like to sponsor an episode or be a guest on the show, email theheartofthemattershow@gmail.com. We look forward to seeing you next Thursday for another amazing episode.